Welcome to In the Line of Fire with Saraj, a CEO, CXO, and a thought leadership series. This is about real leaders, real talks, real conversations, and real impact. This is about the future of the future of technology. Today, we are going to have another inspirational conversation. This conversation will mesmerize you. Today, we have another great leader, another great story, another inspirational story, the story of success, the story of perseverance, and the story of building businesses and organizations. Please join me in welcoming Anand Kamat. Anand, do you want to introduce yourself briefly?
Thank you, Saraj. I am so excited to be here. I've been looking forward to this conversation. I have co-founded two companies. One is PostQode, one is Flarre, and both are at an inflection point. I think it's a great time to be in the technology industry and unleashing AI to amplify human productivity.
Anand, it is a pleasure and honor to have you.
Thank you so much.
You have spent more than 20 years building enterprise software, leading global engineering teams, and now creating AI native companies that are redefining how organizations innovate. Today, AI is changing the economics of the software, accelerating innovation, reshaping leadership, and creating opportunities many organizations have never experienced before. You have spent more than 2 decades at the intersection of enterprise technology, product engineering, and now the artificial intelligence. Looking back, how would you describe your journey?
Some of the foundational learnings I had was working with Bell Labs, where I started. And very early on in my career, I worked with few distinguished members of technical staff. And these are the pinnacle of individual excellence, technical competency, and a role model for organizational value. So that has left a lasting impression on me. Second, I would say the experience at Microsoft, which has been phenomenal in terms of what it means to build software that reaches millions of users around the world.
So, what attracted you to technology?
And that's a very interesting question. I feel an inherent curiosity and desire to solve problems. While growing up, I was always passionate about solving puzzles, solving problems, analytical thinking. And I feel that's really what got me interested in technology.
You want to talk about what has changed in Anand and what has stayed constant?
I think there are many things which have changed and there are many things which has remained the same. So throughout my childhood, and if you look at my net worth, I've stayed the same confident, reassuring individual that I am. I have grown in terms of how to deal with people, how does emotional empathy, emotional intelligence can really transform organizations. Those are the skills which I have learned. But the people who know me well, I am still the same Anand who enjoys small things in life, who enjoys problem solving, and who is generally very happy.
The world is talking about AI. Why do you believe this moment is fundamentally different from the previous technology wave?
I think AI has been a phenomenal inflection in our lives in terms of how we work, how we will live in the future. But the biggest difference I see with respect to earlier technology innovations versus now is AI truly empowers every user of technology to be a creator of that technology. Second thing I would say is AI also has a unique ability to distribute wealth far more broadly in terms of democratizing innovation.
So, if out of your more than 2 decades of experience, how do you stagger this, the first 10 years, the next 10 years, and the next 10 years, which still is not 10 years though? How do you see that technology evolving and you evolving and coming up to the level when um, you've co-founded two organizations that are serving great clients today?
I would say the first 10 years of my industrial experience was really about building real-time critical software at leading institutions like Bell Labs, working in the telecom industry, and working with some of the greatest minds who shaped the future of technology. The next 10 years was really at Microsoft, building solutions and cloud services which reached probably millions of users and generated $1 billion revenue businesses, two of them. But most importantly, that was another important learning in terms of how do you keep growing with technology? How do you keep solving problems which are of higher complexity? How do you learn from others? And how do you push yourself to greater heights?
Let's get into the five-dimensional leadership. The first one is the personal mastery, where we like to understand leaders. Tell us about your initial days.
I think firstly, Siraj, I would like to congratulate on your framework for leadership. I think that's a very innovative framework and it also resonates very well with my personal journey as well. So now to combat my initial shaping, if you will, I grew up in a good middle class family, very pleasant childhood. I was the youngest of the four brothers and we were encouraged to play different sports. The environment was very conducive to excel in academics as well as pursue your passions. And I also learned to do multiple things simultaneously. So I became a national level chess player at a very young age of 12 years. And that passion has stayed throughout to do well on multiple fronts, whether it is academics, whether it is sports. And I believe sports really gives you many of the life lessons which later becomes very important in terms of leadership.
Yes, I was about to ask that question. I'm sure you must be playing chess now also, not the actual chess, but the business chess. A lot of leaders have to wade through a lot of political and diplomatic situations. Growing up in Nagpur, balancing academics and competitive chess, did you ever imagine you would one day be building the AI companies?
No, not at all. I think I grew up to be a fairly unassuming individual. Most people around me would describe it to be not overly ambitious, but I always was keen learner and I always challenged myself to be relevant in whatever I do. I never aspired to be the best in the class, but I always wanted to be among the best, working with smart people, working with smart technology. And in that context, it's incredibly gratifying that I'm able to leverage all the experiences I've gained. And I'm now co-founding two companies. Both are, in a way, at the age of excellence in terms of technical capabilities. We are very proud that both these companies are incubated in India, but they can compete with the best in Silicon Valley.
So, Anand, I want to extract one inspirational aspect, and I always ask this question to the CEOs and the CXOs, and even thought leaders for that matter. When it comes to when it comes to personal mastery, there is always a moment, and I personally believe changes happen in a fraction of a second. That is spark. When did that spark happen? Something that illuminated you, and you decided, and you are today what that spark did to you. When was this?
I think that's a very interesting question and would require a deeper reflection, Saraj. But in the journey of personal mastery at Microsoft, I was sponsoring an initiative for high potential employees as well as management excellence. A little bit of mentoring. They ended up becoming CEOs over a period of next 10, 15 years. So I would say that's a big inspiration for me, and I genuinely derive a lot of satisfaction from growing people and building high performance teams. And that impact is far more than the individual impact I may create as a leader or in our company. So I really feel growing leaders is our biggest responsibility as a CHO or a CEO. And that gives you incredible satisfaction. So I would say those initial journeys at Microsoft inspired me to reach greater heights so that I can increase the impact. The other one is at some point in time, your loved ones inspire a lot of confidence in you. And sometimes they have a better assessment of your capabilities than what you think of yourself. And to that extent, I would say my eldest brother, Uday, he always believed I am the smartest among the four brothers. And periodically, I would say he has been my inspiration in that journey throughout.
That is truly, truly inspirational. And we cannot leave that aside because every story has a starting point, a spark. When you look back, what do you see? Two, three values that helped you be what you are today?
I would say I would start with my father, right? And he was in an accounts department in a government service. And I think his integrity and honesty was unquestionable throughout his career. He also managed with whatever limited means we had. He still did enough for the society. He simplified pensions for elderly people, even at that time in 1982, 1983, which was inspirational. As I look at my elder brothers, they have a great combination of perseverance and resilience, which you alluded to in the starting segment. I feel those are very critical. And then my father in law, who is really a Padma awardee on multiple fronts. He is a very renowned nuclear scientist.
Wow.
But the way he thinks about education, society, technology is incredible. So just observing these people from close quarters has left a unimaginable impression on me. And in many ways, that's also inspiring me to do what I'm doing today.
One of the things I always feel is the success looks pretty nice, pretty good. It's glittering, but things are not easy. The journey is never easy for anyone. And there are stories of being resilient and hardships and adversity. Was there a time that you want to recall?
Absolutely. I think, as in one of the leadership session I learned, I think the maximum growth happens through your adverse movements. Now, one particular period I would say is when I was selected to lead a developer division at Microsoft IDC. It was a fairly large responsibility, which I don't think I was ready for, but organization believed that I was ready for it. And I always tell this to leaders that we normally operate at n minus 1 of our level of competence. And here, people observed my leadership capability and put me into this n plus 1. I was suddenly leading large teams in 4 geographies in UK, Europe, Canada, and US. I was leading people who were far senior than me, both in terms of their salary band as well as their experience. And I would say that 1 year was an incredible year of growth, and it wasn't easy to succeed. But the few things which I learned during that period is whenever you're given a responsibility to make decisions, I think you must grab it and make decisions on your own. At senior leadership, there is no second look, right? People expect you to make decisions, and that's your core responsibility. So I would say that was a good learning during that period.
You are a big advocate of the builder, what I call. Many leaders struggle with uncertainty and difficult situations. When it comes to you, how do you manage that?
Now, I fundamentally enjoy solving problems, right? And I believe staying with a problem is more important than staying with a solution. Secondly, one aspect of adaptive leadership is inherent uncertainty. Because to succeed at a higher level, you need to succeed with product, you need to succeed with processes, you need to succeed with people. Now, to succeed with people is incredibly hard because people change over time, their aspirations change over time. So, it's a fundamentally adaptive problem. And the same ability to deal with uncertainty helps you with shaping products which can become successful over a period of time.
When it comes to personal mastery, we can speak for hours and it will not stop. That's your stronghold, besides the business, of course. So, if you had to give an advice to your young self, which is more for today's young generation, what would that be? Everyone wants to grow. Who doesn't? If you were to advise a young talent, what would you say them?
I would say truly embrace the growth mindset very early on in your career. So I was influenced when Satya came on board and really transformed Microsoft into a growth mindset organization. And everything in that book, growth mindset, resonates with me. I think I grew up with a label being intelligent, smart, someone who gets results with less effort. Right? And I think at some point in time that becomes an inhibitor for your success. So that is one definite advice I would give to younger Anand, to say embrace the growth mindset. The second thing I would say now is I took up to reading much later in life. But I do believe very strongly that reading gives you an incredible ability to learn from the experiences of others. And it gives you perspectives which you alone cannot get. So I would say those are the two key takeaways I would give as an advice to my younger self.
One personal question I will ask you: the secret of your fitness. I know I've interacted with you in the past as well. Slim and trim, dapper. I mean, a lot of people are struggling. I mean, God bless you, and you always stay fit and fine all the time. But still, what are some of your habits? How does your day look like?
I would say I was always interested in sports and I was a natural athlete. As I said, in universities, I represented university in chess. That is fine. I also represented my university in athletics. So I was a good 100-meter sprint runner. More importantly, I felt I do play badminton and tennis very regularly. If you ask me what my typical day looks like, so morning there is typically an hour of tennis. Most importantly, I feel that allows me to zone in. When I'm on a tennis court, I don't take phone calls. It's really great weather in the morning, and that being completely away from work energizes you to have your day, rest of the day extremely fruitful. I was very poor at time management, contrary to what people may believe. And then I heard a leadership experience where they spoke about energy management. And they spoke
Yes.
about four forms of energy. They spoke about physical energy being the foundational core. Then they spoke about intellectual energy. They spoke about emotional energy. They spoke about spiritual energy. Right? And I think in many strange ways that refers to your five individual personal mastery leadership principles. Right? So that I fundamentally believe that we have to be physically strong because the expectations as a leader are incredibly high. And unless you are very self assured and content across all these dimensions, whether relationships, whether it is mental, intellectual problem solving, physical strength, and some aspect of giving back or spirituality, whatever it means for every individual, it's very difficult to stay centered.
Let me push you a little bit. The time you wake up and the time you sleep.
I wake up at 6:30. I actually have a fairly busy day till about 9:30. I'm intellectually thinking about a lot of problems to solve. And in the world of AI, it has become an incredibly exciting time, right? But let's assume I sleep at around 11 or so. I get about 6 and hours of sleep. But I think the morning ritual of playing tennis really keeps me energized throughout the day.
It's fantastic personal story, very inspirational, and I'm sure a lot of people will draw out a lot of insights out of this. I very strongly believe that the people who have made the world where the world is today, it is the people like you and others. And they're very calm and quiet people. They have done the work, but their contributions have not come to the surface. So it's a small, very small endeavor to bring it out and talk to those people. I mean, not in case of you, but a lot of people I speak. We'll shift the gear now to the relationship mastery. You've already mentioned the personal side of the relationship and your inspiration from your dad and your brother and family values. Technology can build products, but it can never build organization.
Mhm.
Your comment on that?
Now, that is so true because high performing organizations really build great products which will last over a number of years. And to build organizations, you need great leaders. More importantly, you need culture. And culture gets reflected through our everyday action. And in that context, I feel building organization is a journey. It starts with having the great set of initial people. It also requires you to have a long-term vision and a sustained focus on execution in the short term, and then creating the culture which is inspiring by nature.
Let me expand this further. The relationship is about all different stakeholders. The CEO is in the middle. Many times, a lot of people are ignored, and we see that because with authority and with position, there is said unsaid boundary which is kind of drawn, and there is a power distance which gets created over the period of time. Sometimes people feel hesitant to go to their own leader for that matter. In my personal experience and interaction with you, I don't know how you do that, but I don't know how every 2 hours you get time to walk onto the floor and meet people, do chit chat, and talk to people, And I think that has built up a very strong relationship with people, especially in your case, which I'm the witness. How do you do that? So, two comments I want. One is your personal approach to building relationship, and second is for CEOs and CXOs and aspiring leaders. What is your comment?
I really feel having the personal chemistry with your team, whether it's your leadership team or your team at large, is incredibly important. Second, walking through the floors and talking to individuals, being genuine with them, creates a very different sense of ownership. For me personally, it helps me understand in the complexity of a particular role. I think my approach to meeting the team when they are not in a stressful situation helps them open up in critical business situations where we can work together in solving the problem. I think that has been my experience. Second, I feel for us to grow as a leader, we have to really master this art of influence without authority, right? And in my opinion, that's probably the single most advice I will give to the leadership.
So, your advice for an emerging leader when it comes to him or her building relationship with his or her stakeholders?
Being comfortable with who you are gives you an incredible ability to be authentic in every conversation.
I have a very diverse view when it comes to relationship, especially in the context of organizational relationship between the employee and the manager. So the whole world is focusing on leadership development. And I sometimes say, hey, no, we have to train employees also how to deal with different types of leaders, in terms of how to approach leaders. It's the leader of the empathy, but it is also on the part of the team to express that empathy and understand leaders' engagement and the kind of work and their stress and what they are going through. So I'm focusing more on that side probably because if you're not a trained if you are not a trained workforce, how would you deal with leaders? Matrix organization, global organization, virtual leaders. You have leaders from different parts of the world, different cultures. Anyway, this is your show, not mine.
No, but that's a very important point because to an extent, every individual is a leader. They are leader in their own sense, and they must have an ability to leverage the environment around them, whether it's the culture of the organization, whether the managers they work for or the leaders they work for their own growth. And in that context, I think the initiative you have to really empower current generation to be future leaders is incredibly important. And the principles of being the corporate leader, being the personal leader would still remain the same. You have to have a growth mindset. You have to be very aware and confident about who you are. And you must have emotional empathy.
I think you're spot on that because I always say don't let things go on to relationship mastery and team mastery and organizational mastery and business mastery unless you've mastered yourself. What, in your experience, separates an average team from a truly exceptional one?
I'd say there may be two or three key differences. The exceptional team mostly is very proactive. They really are somehow intuitively tied to the inspirational vision the organization have. There is very less management needed in that team. Everyone has a sense of ownership. Everyone has an aspiration to grow. But at the same time, they have a unique ability to be collaborative with others. And I think that's the hardest part. If you put few high performing individuals, how do you create an environment where they don't compete with each other, but collaborate with each other? And that's probably the hardest thing to do as a leader to assemble a team, as many people call it, but then also make them collaborative in the larger.
So, one quick question: build or buy?
I think there is a build or buy or partner, right? I think that has been
I loved it.
that is the way how industry has evolved.
Time and again, I come back to my personal experience with you and my observation because we worked together at some point of time. You are very possessive of your team, and so is your team about you. You live together, you eat together, and you work together, and then you create things together. Give us a glimpses of how team worked. Maybe this could be an inspirational insights for some people. How team comes together, builds in a shorter span of time something.
I think that's a fascinating question and takes us back to where we worked together. I think the challenge was we had built a very innovative platform. I was great at building platforms, but I've never been in a vertical space. I would say there were three dimensions to it. There was me leading this organization who had a great horizontal perspective on how to build enterprise applications and platform. Domain experts who knew what sort of solutions and workflows are needed. And we had a young talent which was raring to do. But in hindsight, things which were where I was very open about, I want to learn about the domain. The leaders were very open about, we have never built enterprise solutions. Our reviews were extremely intense. One thing I told them is we should be looking for growth, we should be looking for feedback in every session. So don't worry about the critical reviews. So anyone in the team should present me with an idea or want to have a feedback session, I would be always be open to. But as you said, that created an environment and a team bonding which is very rare. And I think some of them are continuing to work with me in my net startups as well. So it's fascinating.
A lot of them are at the C-suite level. I wish I would have spoken to them and take their short bites and include this into this conversation. But do you have any message for your team? This is a great place to do that. And I know I wish I could have allowed you to say their names. You can, but that will not be fair to many of them as well. You want to give a shout out to them?
No, I think all I would say it is I had an incredible time building products with them. We had a fascinating time as a team celebrating milestones together. We had a very high bar on accomplishment, and my advice to them would be I was only an enabler. They all had innate talent and an aspiration to grow, and wherever they have gone, and you're right, they have gone to many CXO level, and this applies to some of the people I've worked with at Microsoft as well, who became CEOs or very great leaders in many leading organizations.
Profound, very inspirational, great insight. Sure, uh, teams who worked with Anand, if you are listening to or viewing this podcast, I'm sure you will recall some of the days working with him. And I know he has great um, appreciation for all of you. It looks like we are getting into more emotional stuff when it comes to teams. So let me ask you some tough question now.
Sure.
A couple of people called me up from EMEA region. Saraj, good podcast. That's fine. But why don't you ask people sometimes how they deal with the toxic leaders? Your comment on that. Some people are toxic, but they are smart.
So one way to deal with toxic leaders is to avoid interaction with them if you can afford to do that. Second way to deal with it is I think you have to draw some red lines with respect to what behavior is acceptable and where you would not worry about the consequences. You will be very principled, right? And I think some people in my team across organizations would relate to it, saying that when that toxic behavior impacts even my team members, not me, I would have a very, very strong point of view around it.
For our audience, Anand is the co-founder of PostCode AI. Another one is the Flarre.AI, which is the second organization that he has built, and he is the co-founder of that as well, an enterprise AI platform helping organizations in regulated industries. You want to talk about how you build, what is the ambition, and where is it heading?
So I think at PostQode, the motivation was to build something out of India, leveraging the expertise of my team, my co-founders, and my prior experience. And what we have built at PostQode is a true agentic AI platform. And the interesting part, Siraj, is the one which we have built with a small team of 14 people. We are now one of the top 30 coding agents in the world. And we are probably one of the first few who have actually built a coding agent and a set of software development agents out of India. So I'm incredibly proud about what we have done at PostCode. Now at Flair, we are partnered together with co-founders who have deep insurance expertise, deep enterprise experience, and the agentic AI platform which we have. And we are building the native agentic AI platform for insurance carrier. And both of them are in a very, very transformative zone of opportunities.
So, what is the problem that Flarre.AI solving, and who are your prospects and customers, your geos, location?
So with Flarre.AI, we have taken a platform-centric approach to building agentic AI to insurance. So our customers are insurance carriers, top tier insurance carriers all over the world. We have been particularly successful in the last 6 months in Australia, UK, as well as US region. What we are offering them is, as you alluded to, build versus buy. In my opinion, agentic AI in particular gives organization the unique ability to build something which represents their business. And we are really enabling them to meet that aspiration. And whatever investments they make in our platform, we ensure that it is open and extensible, and they can leverage the innovations which are happening in hyperscalers, which are happening in frontier model companies, or which are happening in the core insurance platforms as well. So in one word, the Flare's mission statement is to empower insurance carriers all over the world to meet their aspiration and leverage AI to build solutions that help them differentiate their business.
So, how does organization benefit out of Flare AI?
Flair.ai offers four types of solutions. One is we have AI agents, which you can imagine as this very specialist business analyst, developers, QA, DevOps roles, which can dramatically accelerate implementations. When I say implementation, from a carrier perspective, it means they want to launch a new product in the market. Previously, it used to take 12 to 15 months. Now they can do so in 3 to 4 months. Flair.ai offers them a platform to build AI agents which amplify human productivity in any of their operational organizations, whether the operational organization is about claims or it's about underwriting or it's about billing. Third one, it is also an agentic AI platform with deep insurance knowledge and a suite of software development agents on top of it, which allows them to build custom point solutions in a rapid time.
Well, how does your strategic plan looks like?
I would say it will evolve, but our motivation is to really empower insurance carriers all over the world with agentic AI to give them unparalleled edge in terms of improving efficiency, reducing cost, and investing in innovation, which is long term.
We always talk about the legacy modernization and AI enablement. What would be your advice to the CEOs and CXOs?
It's very interesting you picked up on a topic which, for the last 2 weeks, both in Australia and UK, was the main topic of discussion. So, in one case in UK, they have older platforms which are offering life and annuity or life and pension, and they want to migrate to the newer version. And they were asking, how can agentic AI help? And I'll speak about that a little bit. And then there are other insurance carriers which has been running on mainframe platforms, and the talent is in short supply. They want to modernize. So in both cases, I think I have a very unique point of view around modernization. And I feel it's a very, very interesting, complex problem to solve. And the method to solve it is building the whole truth with multiple partial truths.
I don't know how to frame this question, but what are the top USPs of Flare.ai?
So let's first continue the conversation for what it means for modernize, and then we'll come to new implementations or cost optimization. Now, when it comes to modernization, and I'll build on or expand on when I said create a complete truth with multiple partial truth. For complex enterprise application, it can be within databases, it can be within workflows, it can be within file systems, it can be in terms of programming languages in form of code. Now, once you analyze what you want to retain versus what you want to reuse versus what you want to rebuild, the agentic AI gives you a unique ability to rebuild the platform. So previously, people used to say, we'll first migrate and then modernize. AI offers you an ability to build those two processes together. And we can say we can modernize while you migrate. We have been able to do this migration in probably 20-30% of the effort that is needed overall. The new implementations, we can do new product launches probably in 40% of the time it takes to launch new products. And all that means accelerated go to market, reduced dependency, reduced risk, and less cost.
That is fantastic. Thank you for sharing your insights. Anand's elevator pitch today in the capacity of the co-founders of the Postcode and Flarre.AI.
Flarre.AI, it's a unique opportunity for insurance carriers to build your own, leveraging our open and extensible platform. You can build your own policy systems, you can build your claims platforms, you can build your business agents. And the Flair platform is unique in terms of its inherent understanding of the insurance domain knowledge and a proprietary way in which how we are leveraging that domain knowledge to make decisions. And for PostQode.ai, I would say it's a really unique opportunities for large Indian SIs to embrace a coding platform which is made in India.
We are now getting into the rapid fire zone, make things light for people. So, ready?
Yes.
Money or meaning?
Meaning?
Speed or sustainability?
Both.
Why?
Because I think speed with sustainability will create long-term value.
Build versus buy?
Build.
AI or human judgment?
Human judgment.
Why do you say that?
Human judgment will amplify AI and AI will amplify human potential. So it's a cyclic loop.
The great leaders never
Procrastinate. Never stop learning.
And every CEO should stop.
Stop procrastination.
And the future belongs to
builders.
Okay, here's a big one. You have 100 crores, you may only invest in one. The people, technology, or culture, or what?
People.
And why would you do that?
Just fundamentally, I feel people's aspiration will lead to innovation. And in that context, AI is an enabler, not an end all. So if we invest in people with aspiration, they will leverage the best of technology to create meaningful value.
What scares you more, the success or the failure?
Success, I would say, because my deep-rooted passion is to be a normal human being, which people don't assume anything about Anand. And the people who know me 20 years ago versus now should have the same warm, same relationship. And that authenticity is what I care the most. And in that context, failure will not change that dramatically. But success has a possibility to change it, and that's what I'm worried about.
And the biggest leadership lesson Anand has learned to be where he is?
I would say one is around assume no self constraints, right? And more importantly, growth mindset.
So let me give you a 60 seconds of time. You are addressing the CEO's forum. What would be your message?
We are in a unique position where AI gives us a huge opportunity to change the world. It also comes with a huge responsibility. And we have to have a very delicate balance in terms of taking people along with this transformation journey as we aspire to meet our commitments to the board and the stakeholders and investors. But this opportunity to amplify human productivity with AI is a once in a lifetime opportunity.
Fantastic. So we're getting into the next segment, which is very dear to my heart, and I'm sure you would love that as well. This segment is for the young talent and freshers, people who are in the college and schools. I wish and I'm thinking maybe at some point of time I would have a Gen Z coming on to this conversation with me, especially in this segment, and have them ask a couple of these questions to the CEO. If you were graduating today, if you were the young talent, and if you had to prepare for the next 10 years, what would you do?
I would say I will invest heavily in learning from AI. AI gives us an unparalleled ability to learn quickly. Then
What advice do you give them?
I genuinely believe the best strategy is to be in control. Now, worrying about AI and the future implications will not necessarily help the situation. I don't want the young talent to be in the denial that there will not be any impact to certain roles. But I can assure young talent that the people who learn to use AI effectively will win over other people who are resisting AI. So I would say they should really prepare themselves. I would say learn from AI is a key takeaway. Growth mindset is another important one, and develop in mastery.
So the message for the young talent is that there are more opportunities coming your way. It's a change process, and we often feel that the change means there is a loss to me as in an individual capacity. But Anand already mentioned about the growth mindset. So if you look at the positive side, I think there are more opportunities today than ever before in the world.
Let's say you really want to become a great systems thinker, which is now very heavily valued in terms of building applications. I think you can compress the time it takes from 10 years to 2 years today if you interact with AI and say, that's where I want to build mastery.
What three skills do you think young talent must develop or start developing now if they're in the college or if they have just joined the organization?
Great question, Siraj. And the things which come to my mind is one is critical thinking. Now, within critical thinking comes ability to synthesize information, ability to create your own point of view, and then ability to make decisions.
Let me give another scenario. A young talent or a fresher wants to be the CEO.
Mhm.
Your advice?
I would say try to choose a role model which you can relate to, right? I think sometimes the issue is if everyone wants to be Steve Jobs, the gap between what you have versus what you want to be would be big. But rather than keeping CEO as a target, you probably find a meaning or a problem you want to solve and develop deep mastery in solving it. As you grow through the journey, you may become a CEO, you may become an entrepreneur, you may become an executive in a multinational company. There are many ways to have the impact which you want to create. So I would say it's more important to define the meaning or identify an opportunity where you want to create the maximum impact and then drive towards it. The designations will follow, the designations will change. By the time you decide to be a CEO, who knows? We may have very different type of organizational structures 10 years from now. And I really feel that's how the AI based companies would evolve. So in that context, what does it mean to be a CEO? Maybe you need to be a partner at a good startup, right?
Fantastic insight. What is Anand heading for next 5, 10 years?
I think when I left Microsoft, I was on a quest to understand whether the success I'm having is Anand or is it Microsoft. Second question I then alluded to was if there are 200 families who feel their lives have become better because of either the products I built or the contributions I made, I would be very happy. So if you ask me over the next 5 years, I will obviously build out these two companies. We'll build few products which will be revenue generating sustainable businesses. But more importantly, I want to build products, revolutionary products in healthcare and education, which will impact millions of people around the world. That's really my mission over the next 5 to 7 years.
Fantastic. Wish you good luck there. Hope to interact with you again and again on some other topic. Your big message to your stakeholders.
I would say enjoy the time we are living in, leverage AI to amplify human productivity, and assume no constraints.
So, Anand, thank you so much. This has been more than a technology talk. This was an amazing conversation. Thank you for sharing your experiences, the wisdom, your knowledge, and what you're doing, and about your business, about Flarre.AI, to which you are the co founder, and the postcode. And this conversation will be available on YouTube. It will be available on the Apple Podcast, Spotify, Amazon Music. And if you just type Saraj Unleashing Talent on Google, a lot will pop up. This is for you, the great leaders, great talks, great insights, and great impact. We had Anand Kamat, the co founders of two organizations, and we had great inspirational talks today. Once again, thank you, Anand, for your time. Hope you enjoyed this conversation.
Thank you so much, Siraj. I'm deeply inspired by the work you are doing. Wish you the best luck. You have great speakers. I enjoyed watching your shows, and it's a great privilege to be here. Thank you once again.
Thank you so much for being part of In the Line of Fire. Thank you.